doing it. We're having our practice class. So everybody out there, I'm usually teaching a group of seniors or anybody with a limitation, or they just want to learn to move better and move with more ease. I just invite you to come into my home. I've got my door shirt on, so thank you for allowing me to enter and come into your home. From my heart to yours, I hope that this somatic practice is the beginning of something new for you. Anyways, I don't want to talk too much. If you're new to somatics, you may want to continue with us to learn a little more about your body and how to move with more ease and freedom. So I'm just going to get started. Let's go ahead and close our eyes. Yogi's choice, palms up or palms down. Remember to sit long in your spine, crown of the head reaching towards the sky. Let go of all the affairs of the day, whatever has happened this morning, your to-do lists, the stress and stresses of life. To practice pratyahara, we're going to withdraw the senses from everything that is outside of us and turn inward. Soften the face, soften the brow, create space between the teeth. Bring awareness to your breath. Allow the breath to flow out and in naturally. The beginning of every somatic practice starts with a Soma Scan. In order for us to have this mindful awareness of ourselves, we need to choose to not allow our mind to run amok. And when it does, bring yourself back in. Withdraw the senses from everything outside so that we can sense and feel and tune in to what's going on inside of ourselves. This is how we begin to heal. So the Soma Scan is a 360-degree awareness. We will begin with the physical body, so finding some place to start. That could be at the top of your head and moving down through your toes. It could be toes up through the top of your head, the left side of your body to the right to the left. Maybe you want to scan the front of your body first, and then the back of your body. But finding that systematic 360-degree awareness. We're noticing the spaces between our toes and our fingers. We're observing the spaces between maybe the armpits and the hips, where there's muscle tension. Notice the arrangement of your body in your seat. Is there numbness? Is there tingling? Maybe you don't feel anything at all. Maybe you say, this is kind of strange. I've never done this before. I haven't stopped long enough to tune into anything of myself. So take a few moments to notice how you feel in your physical layer of your body. This is your physical reference point. The body learns through contrast, So we can compare and contrast how we feel now as opposed to after this brief practice. Continue to allow your face to be soft. All of the body is soft. And since Somatics addresses the whole self, we're going to move through the other layers of who we are. When you're in your own personal practice, you may want to take a little longer for this, but for the sake of the video, I'm just going to kind of walk you through. So the Soma Scan, we'll start with that physical awareness, the physical body. Then maybe we'll move to the psychological layer. Then into the emotional layer. How do you feel? Sad, happy, angry, depressed. And moving into the spiritual layer of who you are. We all believe something. Where is it that you find faith or belief? What is it that gives you joy and hope? What inspires you? Where does your energy go? And then I always like to check into the layer of the ego. The ego are the boxes. It's the boxes that we put ourselves in, based on our experiences, our beliefs, our environment. It's also the layer that wants to compete or wants to control. And right now, with COVID-19 going on, a lot of us feel vulnerable, that we've lost control. That too is an observation of the whole self. Allow your natural breath to continue. I invite you to bring your palms together at your heart center. We do this to symbolically help us to set an intention for our practice. Whatever it might be, a mantra, a prayer, maybe you're just curious. Maybe you just want to have fun, and that's your intention. So whatever you want this to be, somewhere to come back to bring your energy and your focus to. Then let's open our palms upward like a cupped flower, a beautiful lotus flower that comes up through the muck and the mire and blooms as it reaches towards light and sky and space. And symbolically taking a breath in and blowing into the palms and letting that intention go. Allow the palms to come back down to the thighs and pause. Remember to listen to your body. It is your best teacher. I'm here to offer you tools and movements and it's up to you to implement them and to cultivate your own personal practice. From here, we're going to begin moving. So what I'm going to have you do is gently flutter your eyes open. As we sit in our chair, kind of shimmy around if you need to. We're going to find a spot and we're going to commit to that spot. And then we're going to, this movement, I like to start my classes with some similar kind of, people might call them warm-up movements, but they are specific movements, somatic movements in and of themselves. I've just put them together into a practice so that it flows a little more. So, committing to the spot, we're going to sit long in our spine. Remember, don't contract the back. Be soft and long. Then we're going to gently look up towards the ceiling without cranking our head really high. And we're going to mark our range of motion. Find some way, a dot on the ceiling or something where you can mark your range of motion. Also, notice how your neck feels. Notice how your throat feels inside. Sometimes you can hear fluid in your ears. That's an indication of, maybe congestion, or maybe you're turning your head a specific way in the shower and you get water in your ear every time. So these practices are all about mindful awareness of you. And then bring the nose back to center. Then we're going to close our eyes. I know with the video you're going to want to watch it and see what we're doing, and I'll try to cue you. But it's always fun to watch. That's how I learn. We're going to start Yogi's Choice. Whichever side you start on, the next time you do this, build neuroplasticity in the mind to remember, start on the other side. Okay? So what we're going to do is we're going to slide one foot out, keeping a bend in the knee. We're going to hinge on the heel. This is called dorsiflexion of the foot. As we age, we will begin to lose this if we are not mindful. Then we're going to imagine that we're picking up a pencil with our toes. We'll call that monkey toes. Notice that the bottom of the foot is kind of squeezed. And then we're going to bring the foot to the floor. And then we're going to glide it back so that it's back in the place where we started. We're going to press the sole of the foot into the floor and peel or fan the toes back. And then we're going to bring the toes back to the floor. We're going to do this 3 times. When you're at home in your personal practice, 5 to 7 times. You can do this many times during the day. It's not going to hurt you. We looked up at the ceiling to mark our range of motion because the capitis muscles in the back of the neck get very tight, okay? And it will limit our range of motion. Also, what we're dealing with here is not just the neuromuscular education of the muscles, but we are moving our fascial system. The fascia, our connective tissue, our ligaments, our tendons, okay? And that is also going to help us to increase our range of motion. It's going to hydrate the fascia as we move. There's one more thing. Okay, so the body, you may find that when you glide your foot out, that there's kind of a stickiness. I'm not talking about the stickiness because you're barefoot, and you can wear socks for this. I usually do. But when you glide the foot out, it might stick. Or when you hinge on the heel, you might have this chatter or stickiness. That is called sensory motor amnesia, and I will explain more of that later. In the meantime, see if you can engage the mind to smooth that stickiness out. So here we go. We're going to glide that same foot out. We're going to hinge on the heel. We're going to imagine we're picking up a pencil with the bottom of our foot. We're contracting muscles in the bottom of the foot and the plantar aponeurosa. We release the toes, foot comes to floor. Glide it back. Press the sole of the foot down and fan the toes back. and release the toes to the floor. Pause. Again, glide out, hinge on heel, contract the muscles in the bottom of the foot like you're picking up a pencil. We're going to call that monkey toes. If you go too far and it gets crampy, back off the edge. Release the foot to the floor, glide it back, press the sole down, and fan the toes back. The bottom, notice that the bottom of the foot is released and that there is contraction at the top of the foot, and then bring the toes to the floor. Good, we're going to pause here. Take a cleansing breath. Good. You can flutter your eyes open right now. Two things. We're going to check in with our range of motion. A lot of somatic movements are not connected to the breath like maybe yogic movements are. So remember to breathe. And when we're learning new things, we have a tendency to hold our breath. Sometimes we bite our tongue, or our forehead is furrowed up. Relax and soften. Just keep coming back to that place where you soften everything, okay? Okay, from here, eyes are fluttered open. If you want to check your range of motion, you look up. Notice that if the range of motion has changed, generally it will have been because we're repatterning the muscles in the neck. And then coming back to neutral, we close our eyes. We're going to go to the other side. We're just going to do 3 for the sake of the video. So we're going to slide out, hinge on heel, compare and contrast one side with the other. And then monkey toes, contract the muscles, the bottom of the foot, slowly release, allow the foot to come to the floor, glide it back, press that sole down and fan the toes back. Release toes to the floor and pause. Remember to breathe. Glide out, hinge on heel, and monkey toes. Feel and sense. Release the toes. Maybe as you bring your foot to the floor, it's chattering. Glide it back. Press the sole of the foot down and fan the toes back. Release the toes to the floor. Good. Last one. Glide out, hinge on heel, and monkey toes. Bring foot to floor. Glide it back. Press the sole down and fan the toes back. The bottom of the foot, the muscles are completely released. Contractions in the top of the foot. Slowly allow the toes to come back down to the floor and pause here. Nice cleansing breath in. And let it go out. Good. Is your belly soft or is your belly tight? Soften the belly. From here, we're going to flutter the eyes open. Nice long spine. Look up towards the ceiling. Check to see if that range of motion has changed. I know mine has. Good. We're going to shimmy forward in our chair. Bring your feet out a little bit. I usually practice almost all of my somatic movements with my socks on, but for the sake of the video, I'm doing bare feet so you can see my feet. Now we're just going to integrate with a little bit of everting and inverting the feet. So when our feet are inverted, they're going inward, the inside edge of the feet. And then when we evert, they're going out. Invert and evert. You can do this both legs at the same time. You can do European windshield wipers, which go out and in, right? Or American windshield wipers that go from side to side. What you're observing with your eyes closed, so go ahead and close your eyes, is how did the feet feel? How do your toes feel? What's happening down in the area of the ankles, in the down in the Achilles, learning to do this with your feet allows us to have a greater range of motion, getting all of that connective tissue to move around. Then how about if we go to the outside edge of the feet and try to hitchhike those big toes back? Maybe you're getting a cramp. Maybe the muscles in your legs and your feet are tight. And then release. How about coming to the inside edge of the feet, try to press the big toe down and fan the toes back. So in somatics, we are gaining back control over our bodies. A little bit more, out and in. I also like this because I go hiking a lot. And if I step on a rock or a root, I've stepped off of curves before, and because my feet were used to everting and inverting, I think that helps save my ankles quite a bit. Good. Come back here and just tap it out. Good. This is where I'm going to mix up some of the warm-ups. So then we're going to come back to neutral. And we're going to pandiculate. So, pandiculation is the key technique in somatic movement. We've been doing that in our feet. Now I'm going to explain it a little more. So I'm going to roll up my sleeve and get my puppy muscle out here. So all muscles and muscle groups have an origin, and then they have a place of insertion. And so what we're doing, just like, and I'm going to use my bicep here, we are going to bring the origin and the insertion towards one another. The muscle is contracted. Then we will voluntarily, using our mind, okay, the sensory and motor cortex of the brain, to slowly release the contraction and then let it go. And we pause. Do it again. We contract the muscle shortens, and then we slowly release the muscle and then let it go. When we do this, when we pandiculate, all animals pandiculate. I have 2 dogs. If you have a cat, your polar bear, your pet raccoon, those things pandiculate. It's a call to action in a way. They're getting ready for movement. We do this when we get up in the morning and we yawn. What are we doing? We're bringing muscle groups together. We're contracting them. And then we slowly release them. So this is what we've done in our feet. This is what I'm showing you in the bicep. You can bring the sleeve down. Okay? So now we're going to do this with our torso. In yoga, we call it cow and cat. So in somatic movement, we're gonna arch and flatten, and then arch and curl. So we're going to arch the back. The muscles shorten, they contract, and then we slowly release them back to neutral. Again, arch the back. Feel the muscles contract in the back of the body. And slowly begin to release. And imagine that a pair of hands are pressing against your back. You're going to flatten the back and come back to neutral. Arch the back and then flatten it out. We're going to arch, release, go past the neutral, draw belly button towards spine, and slowly release back to neutral. Arch, curl, arch, and curl. Allow the chin to dip down towards chest. Come back to neutral.